If you're having fun, then you're doing it right. This should be the #1 rule of model railroading. And I cannot tell you how much fun I had researching this locomotive. So this is the New York Central P motor. And we're going to paint this week. This is, of course, a Kato EF53. But it has a lot of resemblance to the Penn Central P motors. So I had a ton of fun researching the history of the P motors and to find out how they came to be a Penn Central engine. I have a bunch of cut up decals already, and I tried to use the cut up ones first. I don't really like these skinny numbers. I prefer to use the thicker ones. And this is micro scale decals, by the way. So I'm just gathering up my stuff. If you're looking for, if you look carefully at the micro trains, they have very, very thin, danger 600 volts. And really, really small, skinny decals like that, danger 600 volts, fire extinguisher, and they have the base of where the locomotive is starting from. And I like to use these. On the P motors, they don't use them, but I still wanted to note that. I gathered my decals. We're doing unit 4626. I have a special reason for that, which I will tell you at the end of the video. I've got to work on the shell a little bit before I paint it. One thing that's obvious is the Penn Central decal goes over here, and I need to block off this window for sure. I'd probably block off these vents here, especially over on this side, because the Penn Central logo goes here. So I've got to block off the vents. I've got to block off that window. So I have a little bit of work to do here. I removed the pantographs, but every time I look at scratches, everything's gold under it. And I'm starting to doubt that maybe this is a brass engine. It's, look at these very fine pins here. And then I go over on this side and I look at these detailed, I don't know if there are steps or cooling ducts, but everything looks to be so fine, the details on this. So I'm starting to doubt whether this is a brass engine or not. Same for this horn. It's very, very sturdy. If it's plastic, it's really good plastic, So we know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get some stripper and I'm going to put it on it and we'll know for sure. Well, what do you think? If this had been plastic, that would have melted away. So I'm going to keep removing the paint from this. We should get just a little bit more detail out of it. Look at that. Who knew there was a beautiful brass engine hidden under there? Have you guys ever seen this? It's a brass locomotive, but it's a Kato drive system. So I had no idea. So it's got a lot of really fine detail, like these plates here, all separately applied. And these little ladders here, really quite beautiful. So I don't know if I'm gonna wanna poke holes in this to put my LEDs through. Although while I'm thinking about that, to put my decals, I'm gonna use this type of plastic to make plates, just to hide all the grills, so I can put my decals flat. So I'm gonna make plates for the Penn Central logo. I have to make a little plate for the unit number, another plate for the Penn Central logo. So I'll get to work on that. I was originally gonna fill this up and then just sand down these details because I thought it was a cheap plastic locomotive. Pleasantly surprised to see this though. So this will hide the window and the grill, and this is reversible. If you use a paint remover again, it will melt the crazy glue and these plates can be removed. So it's reversible, but it's going to allow me to put the decals in. I'm going to continue with the LEDs. I'm going to poke a hole through the roof so I can put my wires for my LEDs. Here's another recycling tip for you. This is a tube from a WD-40. Actually came from a can of rust proofing. So I'm going to cut this to size, and it's going to come here, and it's going to be my headlight. This is what you order, 0603 12 volt. There's a choice of color. I picked white. And then make sure that you specify with resistor. You can see a little resistor here at the end. So that is what you want. Then my LED is gonna come and sit in the headlight. And it's gonna provide the illumination for my train. And then that gets glued over here. And I've got my little hole so I can poke the wires through there. So I'm going to glue this over here. And I've got my little hole so I can poke my wires through there. So that's going to be the headlight. Now let's go paint this. When you paint, you just want a little droplet. I'm using trim clad or Rust-Oleum. So you just want little droplets. And as the paint comes together, as the droplets touch one another, then you stop. You want to get the thinnest coat possible. Then I will wait 10 minutes and give it another coat like that. While my paint is drying, I'm going to tell you about the history of these. The Van Swaringen brothers were developers out of Cleveland. They were real estate developers, and they needed a rail connection for their new development. So what they ended up doing is they contacted the Nickel Plate Road to do it. And in the middle of those talks, they ended up buying the Nickel Plate Road, along with a few other railroads. They wanted a new depot, a new terminal for the railroad. So for Cleveland, so they prepared to build the Cleveland Union Terminal, and they looked at the old depot, and it was covered in soot, so they wanted for their new depot something like Grand Central Station, which was always sparkling clean. So they decided they wanted only electrics to run into the Cleveland depot, the Union Terminal. So these were built by Alco and GE, 1928 and 1929. So they served the Union Depot until 1953, when they were replaced by diesels. After that, they went to New York for the Grand Central Station, and they served the rest of their careers there. The reason why I like to model 4626 is because that locomotive got to lead the Golden Spike Centennial Limited when it started out of the Grand Central Station. So it ended with a fantastic window to show it off. And when Amtrak took over, they moved everything to Penn Station. So I guess these were scrapped after that. But we had a good end. So let's just slide these decals over. Then once you have them set where you want, you can bring a little bit of sponge towel to wipe out the excess water. It's really starting to shape up. Now let's do the other side. Well, that's about all the time I had for this week. Next week we'll do the LEDs. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon.